Hi YouTube, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome to the channel. I hope that this video finds a new group of people just because that's always been my goal with YouTube, is to try and reach people, support people, help people. So why does this look so crooked? I think that's better. We're not your typical channel over here. I'm like the most laid back person. I feel like I don't do like a full face of makeup every time I film or anything crazy like that. I'm just very me. Obviously, if you've read the title of the video, I decided I wanted to start a series of supporting moms just in general, but also of course especially supporting NICU moms, moms of multiples, or medically complex moms. If you guys don't know, I had 27-weeker triplets and they spent 4 and 8 months in the NICU, and then the third one is still in the NICU at almost 17 months. So it's been quite the journey, and I feel like I can provide support in a lot of different aspects of parenting and being a mother. And people have honestly requested this type of video for a really long time, and I know it doesn't fit everyone's niche, but I think it's still important to talk about it. And honestly, it can fit any mother in general. It doesn't just have to be those categories of a mom. So I'm finally taking the hurdle and doing it. I have like so many stories and videos on my social media about the boys and everything that they've been through and experienced, and why our NICU journey has been so long. If you guys want to go watch those, if not, you don't have to. The main reason that my third son has been in the hospital for so long is because his lungs were so bad, so premature and underdeveloped, that he ended up needing a trach placed. So we got that placed in January of this year. He was supposed to come home. The earliest was in April, and then he wasn't ready, obviously. He had just started his home ventilator trials in April, and fast forward, he keeps getting sick and has gotten rhinovirus 5 million times, and it's just been a really long, hard journey. Every time he gets sick, it's obviously hard for him to recover again, so it just kind of delays everything. I'm praying that we can have him home by Thanksgiving, Christmas this year, but it's honestly all up to him and his little lungs. I have my little fall candle burning today. I have the windows open, and I have 2 pumpkin spice lattes. If that is not the most basic mom vibes, I don't know what is. So I think I decided for this first video, I'll focus strictly on being a NICU mom. And this is like a vulnerable video for me because I try not to get emotional and talk about things necessarily a lot, just because, I don't know, it's hard to be, you know, open and let that side of you out. But I'm gonna do it strictly for the fact that hoping I can support other people, or even just moms in general. So I feel like I just wanted to share some things that have got me kind of through the NICU experience and everything that we've gone through. So the biggest thing I feel like is obvious to take care of yourself. And I think so many moms, especially in the NICU, like feel so guilty not going to see their kid for a day in the NICU. You know, they don't want to be a bad mom by not visiting their baby every single day, but you absolutely have to have days off. And also, especially if you have other kids, which I've learned now having 2 babies home. When my first one, Croy, first came home, I still had a lot of time to go see Daxton and Ezra because it was just one baby. I could find a sitter, although still difficult because of his feeding tube, but it wasn't as difficult to go see the other 2. And then when Daxton came home, it became very difficult to go and see Ezra because we weren't allowed to bring the boys to see him. We finally ended up getting a pass where we are allowed to go see him with the other boys, but we still tread really lightly with that because of the germs. And so I'm sure that's difficult for, you know, parents that have other kids at home too. Like, you don't want to take the germs into your NICU baby because those things can be like detrimental to their health. I do think it's important to take days off. Whenever all 3 of them were there, we tried to go like 5 times a week, and we would take, you know, like 2 days off or so, and that killed me. Like, I would bawl my eyes out. And then slowly I just started realizing like I can't pour from an empty cup, which is so cliche to say, but it's like honestly the truth. Like, you cannot just keep giving and giving and giving all the time without taking time for yourself and for your partner, you know, if you have one that you're going through the NICU experience with. Another thing that I feel like really helped me was seeking therapy. I had a lot of trauma from, first of all, my pregnancy, but then my birth experience, and then from the NICU. It's like people don't understand that you like honestly need like grief therapy. We don't talk about grieving when it's a loss of like an experience, or you know, what you thought your life would look like. And even if you're not a first-time mom like I was, going through the NICU experience is just so traumatizing because it's like takes away everything that you thought you were gonna have. And for me personally, I wasn't trying to have kids at the time, and I got blessed with 3, which was a lot to take in, if you imagine. But even then, I started getting excited about doing all these things with 3 babies at once, like taking matching outfit pictures and taking them to do this, that, and the other, and experiencing all these things in life with them, seeing how they grow and develop at different times. And I had everything ripped from me. I mean, I didn't get to bring a baby home for 4 months, and so it was really traumatizing. I had to go through a lot of therapy to even be able to do day-to-day things because it was really triggering for me. Some examples of that is I used to do like coloring apps on my phone. I thought they were really therapeutic, especially when I was pregnant. I haven't been able to do them since I had the boys because I did them all the time when I was pregnant, and I was doing one the night that I went into preterm labor. And like, things like that probably sound stupid to other people, but like, it's so true. I couldn't take a bath for months because I was convinced that I gave myself some sort of infection that broke my water. Like, it's just really crazy, all the things that you like can't do and things that are like so triggering. I became friends with a lot of moms of other multiples from social media, and it was really hard for me at first to see all of them bringing their babies home, especially with like no feeding tubes, no oxygen, not needing a trach, and just wondering like why our journey happened the way it did. Jackson was born with a rare esophagus defect, and so that was just another thing. Like, the odds were just like not in our favor, but it was really traumatizing. And, you know, mourning the loss of all the things that you thought like your first time having kids would be, or even just kids in general, like even if it's not your first kid, like there's things that are, you just have to grieve. Like, I was, you know, getting rid of outfits that I had never even got to put on the babies because they were too sick to even wear clothes. It's just like things you don't think about when you don't have to go through the NICU experience that like, I want you guys to know it's normal if you're going through that and you feel triggered or, you know, easily upset by things that you used to be able to do. I spent, I think, 3 months, it might have even been a little bit longer, not going into the boys' nursery at all. I couldn't go in there because I was so sad. Like, I just couldn't even look in there, and it was hard. It's really hard. Another thing that I think did make the NICU experience a little bit easier was kind of having an idea of like a schedule, which isn't going to work for everyone. Like, some people I'm sure just like want to wing it. I couldn't stay in the Ronald McDonald house because me and Braxton weren't allowed to leave and come back because of COVID. So that made it really tricky because we live an hour away from the NICU, which is really hard too. And so if you are commuting to the NICU, I feel you and I empathize with you 100%. We personally like tried to kind of do a schedule and it didn't work for us necessarily, but I do think it's, you know, it could be helpful for other people to kind of decide like, okay, maybe this is the day we'll take off from the NICU. Like, we usually don't go on the weekends because we try and like do stuff with the kids, or that's the time we can take for ourselves. Keep yourself busy finding hobbies that you enjoy. I'm really bad about that. I hate everything. I like spending money. I like playing games and watching Netflix, none of which are very like productive, but in my brain, if it keeps me distracted and it's something I like to do, then why not? That's another thing. One of the games that used to be my favorite when I was pregnant, I haven't played since then. I've not played it, and it's been over a year. And those things sound so stupid, but like, I'm here to tell you that they're not, and that's so real. Like, it's hard to move past those things. It really is. Like, it's weird. But anyways, I'm not good at hobbies at all. I find my hobby as being a mom sometimes, and that's not very healthy. So I decided to go back to coaching cheerleading this year. I was a competitive cheerleader my whole life. My mom owned a competitive cheerleading gym, and I decided to get back into competitive cheer and coach, and it's been really helpful for my mental health. Getting out of the house 2 days a week, I go to Kansas City and coach. The only thing that sucks is the drive, but during the drive I listen to crime podcasts, which is another one of my hobbies. I love serial killers. Finding something, if it's like going on a 10-minute walk or going to the gym or singing, I don't know, anything, reading, it's helpful. I also have like therapy books that I tried to like kind of work through, and those have been really helpful too. I can show you guys some of my favorite therapy books that I did. Ask for help. I mean, I know that that's like a mom thing in general, but ask for help when you need it. And it's okay to like not be mentally stable during your NICU experience. I don't think anyone really is. And not that there's a pressure to be, but people who haven't gone through the NICU experience like don't understand. It's kind of sometimes exhausting to talk to people that like don't get it. Joining support groups was really helpful for me because I could see other people who had been through very similar journeys as me and how the light is at the end of the tunnel, which sounds, again, really cliche, but I joined so many support groups. It's not even funny. There's an like ongoing joke around my house about Aubrey and her support groups. I'm in a trach baby support group, a micro preemie support group. I'm in like 2 or 3 NICU moms support groups. I'm in just like a regular preemie support group. I'm in preemies at home on oxygen support groups, G-tube babies support groups, esophageal atresia support group, moms of triplets, Triplets Plus of Kansas City, a sleep training support group for multiples. Like, it's ridiculous, but it helps so much. That's one of like my top things is support groups. I swear they changed my life. It's just nice to have people to vent to that can like validate how you're feeling and not judge you, because there's been some times where things have like been really triggering to me from people around me getting pregnant or having babies, and just like sometimes things that they've said is like kind of insensitive and they don't know that. So like that's one example of like those support groups can be a good place for you to vent and like open up to people who like truly do understand you and understand like where you're coming from. I loved making social media friends because which even NICU friends, like you can find people in the NICU and, you know, make friends with them, go down and drink coffee in the middle of like your NICU day with a person, or, you know, obviously we've been there 17 months, so we've met some really amazing people along the way. And I think like that's one of the biggest things is like finding people who kind of like the support groups are in similar situations. But social media is like crazy these days. I've found a lot of people that I talk to like every other day or so that I've met through social media that have helped me in my journey and along the way. And it's crazy like how close those people can be in your life. I've met a lot of social media people that have become a huge support for me and that I talk to consistently and that we follow up with each other's lives. So I think also that's like a great way to just find help, I guess, in somebody that can relate to you. As far as like the NICU experience goes, make sure that you are asking questions. You know, you're listening to your gut instincts. There's been a couple times that if I would have went with my gut, I think that the boys would have had a little bit different outcomes. Don't be scared to ask for a second opinion or, you know, question the doctors and the teams, the surgeons. You have to be able to know what's going on with your babies, and doctors aren't always right. I mean, things can always change, things always can happen. There's not a one size fits all for the medical field or for your preemie baby. Like, every baby is different, and that means not every treatment is for every baby. You have a right to know like what's going on with the health of your baby, and like I said, don't be scared to ask questions. Find nurses that you like feel comfortable around and ask them to like be a primary if your hospital does that, or maybe even talk to like the nurse in charge and ask if that, you know, nurse can be assigned to your baby when you're there. They try, I feel like, at least I know at our hospital, to be receptive to those things and really like take into consideration the parents' feelings. Sorry, my allergies are like killing me. But, you know, we've been one of the families that's been at the NICU the longest, obviously, at our hospital. And for instance, like our social workers and our PAC team, they've become like friends to us now. Like, my social worker is amazing and we have such a great like relationship. She's helped me in more ways than I can even like express. I know a lot of hospitals, especially bigger ones where you would have like a larger NICU stay, they're usually, you know, if your baby's sick enough that they need a long NICU stay, it's usually at like a specialty hospital. They do really well with supporting NICU moms and like hosting events or finding resources for you. So I think it's just important to like be involved and understand and like know. One thing that's kind of obvious but that I feel like every mom does is to compare their babies to other babies. It was really hard for me to see other babies graduating around Ezra or even Daxon and Croy when they were there, and just knowing like we weren't there yet, but every baby's journey is so different. And, you know, not to say that the NICU isn't like awful, because it's literally horrible, but I have to like also remember that they're alive and they made it, and some parents are grieving their NICU babies right now. So that just kind of puts into perspective, which again, it doesn't make it any easier at the time, but I've tried to like remember. There was a couple times where we almost lost Ezra and he got super sick from pulmonary hypertension crisis, and that kind of, I don't know, humbled me a little bit, I guess, and made me realize, yes, this is awful, but thank God that he's still here and that my other boys are home with me. Now that that's a little bit sad, one thing that I love doing is just anything that brings you joy is fine, no matter what other people say about it. Like, I did 25 days of Christmas outfits last year. I'm doing it again this year, plus I'm doing 31 days of Halloween outfits. And somebody was like, you're buying 93 outfits for your triplets for Halloween for 1 month to wear one day. Well, first of all, they're already wearing them in September, so. But second, it makes me happy. it makes me happy. Money's replaceable. I don't care. I had so much taken away from me in my experience with the boys and their first year of life, year and a half now of life almost. And they deserve it. I mean, it makes me happy and it makes the NICU a little bit lighter. People love seeing Ezra's outfits and like how cute their pictures are. Who cares? It doesn't matter what other people say. Do what makes you happy. That's one thing that's like brought me so much joy, is still being able to get like my matching pictures of the boys. And I love it, so I'm gonna keep doing it despite what others have to say. If you guys want to see more videos like this, like, let me know. I'm definitely planning to do a series on my channel, so like hopefully I can do like moms of multiples at some point, although I'd probably like to save that for when Ezra comes home, and then like moms of medically complex babies. I want to do it all. So if there's anything else that you guys specifically want to see about support for other moms, or you know, how we survive, whatever kind of content that you guys want to see, just let me know. I'm always open to listening to you guys and, you know, trying to reach new people. So I love you guys so much. If you're new here, welcome. I hope that you will stay and enjoy following our journey. I hope I can provide you guys some comfort and support during your times. So we will see you again in the next video.